Good evening to Mr. Patrick. Our group will present on the current issues in internal auditing, which is whistleblowing system in an organization. Before we proceed, let me introduce our group members. The first presenter is me, Nur Syamira binti Abdullah. The second presenter is Nur Malatul Zahira binti Mulyadi. The third presenter is Nur Khairunisa binti Muhammad Ismail. The fourth presenter is Jasmine Aimisha Swani binti Zalani. And the last presenter is Nurul Fadilah binti Noh. First, let me explain on what is whistleblowing. Whistleblowing is defined as an action taken by a current or former employee to expose unethical or illegal behavior. The individuals who report such wrongdoing are called whistleblowers. Whistleblowers are frequently shunned by the employers and are forced to choose between protecting their employer and speaking up when something inappropriate is happening. They can be internal or external depending on who receives the complaint. If the whistleblower reports wrongdoing to people within the organization, such as top management, the complainant is referred to as an internal whistleblower. When a complaint is made to an external body outside of an organization, such as the government or a law enforcement agency, the complainant is referred to as an external whistleblower. Whistleblowing systems are very significant in organization as it can protect the rights of the whistleblower. It can be used to report information anonymously regarding violations of the law they have seen, such as abuse, without getting in trouble. By implementing the system in the organization, whistleblowers do not have to worry about being fired, facing prejudice at work, being intimidated, or being transferred. Whistleblowing is important as it can help to combat fraud. In order to combat fraud, corruption, and unethical behavior, it is critical to encourage people to speak out and expose wrongdoing. The mere presence of a whistleblowing system may prevent people from committing any illegal activity, reducing the risk of fraud significantly. Besides, whistleblowing also can avoid reputational damage. This is because when an issue is raised internally, it allows the department in charge to handle it appropriately and discreetly. More importantly, an anonymous system allows someone to come forward who does not feel safe or confident sharing information with their employer. If an internal solution is not available, they may choose to take the information elsewhere or disclose it publicly, which potentially harming the company's reputation. Apart from that, it can prevent issues from escalating. One of the most significant advantages of whistleblowing in an organization is the opportunity to detect problems early on. When the information is shared directly with the dedicated team, the company can address the issue before it escalates, which possibly avoiding serious harm or damage. Removing risk early also allows a company to concentrate on what is truly important. Furthermore, whistleblowing can reduce losses. When illegal activities are reported, a company is able to address the issue quickly and prevent it from happening again in the future. Companies can avoid painful losses that harm everyone, from employees to customers and suppliers. Last but not least, it can raise awareness. Without whistleblowers, the company may be unaware of illegal or unethical activities taking place right in front of their eyes. The information they pass on, regardless of its severity or nature, can raise awareness or issues and concerns within an organization that must be addressed. A company can learn, grow, and thrive with such knowledge at its disposal. This is why a proper whistleblowing system is critical for dealing with breaches in a timely and constructive manner.
A very good day to Mr. Patrick. I am Nur Maliatul and I will continue this presentation with why companies should have whistleblowing system. Firstly, it allows employers to educate their employees and management as well as reinforce the standard expected in their organization. Secondly, a clear whistleblowing system can protect a company if a current or former employees make a false or malicious accusation. A whistleblowing policy can explain the consequences of making such an accusation. Thirdly, a whistleblowing system communicates to employees that the company takes any wrongdoing very seriously and is committed to identifying and correcting it. Next, a clear whistleblowing system encourages a culture in which wrongdoing is addressed quickly and potentially before any regulatory action or reputational damage occurs. Lastly, a whistleblowing system can also reinforce to employees the importance of confidentiality to their company and clients. Next, I will explain the relationship between internal audit function and whistleblowing system. There is a strong positive relationship between the internal audit function and the whistleblower system. This is because the risk of blowing the whistle is both professional and personal. There are two significant barriers to people coming forward with their suspicion. First, concern that the organization assurance of confidentiality will not be followed, and second, concern that the reports will not be properly investigated, leaving the underlying issues unresolved. Internal audit can act as intermediary for the whistleblowing hotline, coordinating responses. Given the sensitivity of whistleblowing, complainant may be hesitant to blow the whistle if the recipient is not perceived to have support at the highest level of an organization. That is, the whistleblower must regard the recipient of the complaint as someone with authority. Internal auditors demonstrate such authority when they are free to conduct audits and discuss their finding and corrective solution with the audit committee without the interference from anyone in the organization. In addition, internal auditors' independence and objectivities may help to foster trust in the whistleblowing process. Internal auditors play a significant role in the organization to prevent, deter, and expose corporate misconduct. Nevertheless, this profession's role in examining how they make ethical decisions on internal whistleblower motives has been largely disregarded, so it is very important for the organization to develop a strong whistleblower system in order to protect them from any bad effects subsequently. In order for the organization to prevent any negative consequences in the future, which will result in losses, the organization needs to have an effective whistleblower system as well as a productive internal control function. These two elements will also contribute to good corporate governance practices in the entity.
Hello and a very good day to Mr. Patrick. My name is Nur Karenisa binti Muhammad Ismail and I will continue with the next question. How can internal auditors help to investigate or solve the issues? In this case, internal audit plays a critical role in assisting the investigator by providing information about the red flags discovered during audits and private communications collected through a hotline or other information. Accordingly, the auditor can be an integrated component of the investigative team, assisting the investigator in gathering evidence of possible fraud based on the red flags or financial anomalies detected by the internal audit. As internal audit is not playing a direct whistleblowing role, instead, it should provide assurance to the board about the efficiency of the whistleblowing system as well as the procedures. Moreover, internal auditors are required to whistleblow directly within their organizations in the event of a breach of good corporate governance practices. Internal auditors perform a different function within the organizations than the external auditors because internal auditors are the company's employees. Lastly, internal audits should also be given the right to know the reports regarding the whistleblowing so that it can assess the impact on its overall opinion to the board.
Hello, I'm Jasmine and I will continue the presentation with question 5, which is the roles of internal auditor in investigating or examining the issue, which is whistleblowing. According to Chambers Arnold 1995, the auditor may have special rights to disclose concerns that go beyond those granted to employees in general. The auditor is entitled and obligated to apply these established reporting lines in these circumstances, but will do so wisely in order to avoid harming the best interests of the company. A very significant safeguard for internal auditors is the unrestricted access for the head of internal audit to the chair of the audit committee. When an internal auditor works for a company that has not provided internal audit the opportunity to report to the board or the audit committee, it may be appropriate for the internal audit to leapfrog report in this manner. This could be the case if the internal auditor has no authorized reporting channels that are free of corruption. Next, Schneider A 2009 stated that internal auditors may have more than one role pertaining to whistleblower processes. In some companies, the chief audit executive keeps an eye on the whistleblowing process. Another role of internal auditing is they must determine whether people are reporting misconduct to the hotline and how the complaints are handled. Internal auditing has to know how many concerns are reported and how these situations are resolved. In some companies, the internal department will first assess complaints, and external forensic specialists may be called in to investigate serious issues. Internal auditors will receive more whistleblowers from the employees if they are perceived to have support from the top management. Apart from that, Schneider A 2009 also mentioned that internal auditors are used to assess the effectiveness of the whistleblower process. In a 2005 study of 119 chief internal audit executives, 59% stated that internal audit is responsible for periodically assessing and reviewing the effectiveness of whistleblowing policies and controls. Respondents stated that audit committees are fully aware of all cases appropriate for its purview in 82% of the organizations where internal audit checks whistleblowing processes. Internal audit testing indicates a higher possibility of various types of misconduct being reported directly to the audit committee or internal audit. These findings imply that when organizations want to examine the success of whistleblowing systems, internal audit departments are typically capable of doing so well.
Hello, my name is Nurul Fadila and I will proceed to the critical success factors for whistleblowing system. There are 5 critical success factors for whistleblowing system. The first one is it will be secure and stay anonymous. Whistleblowing system hold highly private, potentially illegal information. The protection of this type of data must be a top priority for any whistleblowing system because it is extremely highly controlled everywhere in the world. The system it runs on, data storage solutions, software application, access privilege and other components all need to be secure. Second, it is legally compliant. Criminal and personal information is strictly protected as was already mentioned. Thus, data protection rules have very significant ramifications for systems that encourage whistleblowing. But these laws vary and change from nation to nation and they are getting tighter. Third, it must be easy to use. For example, a whistleblower wants to report suspected malfeasance and take action, but they do not want to be engaged in the subsequent events. Whistleblowing is rarely an easy process because whistleblowers are frequently those who are nearby when the misconduct is occurring. Make sure the system is as basic as it can and remove any obstacle if they want to get the crucial advice. In addition, make sure that it is device neutral so they may submit a report using a mobile phone or other device instead of needing to find a private area in the office. Next, it should be trusted. The decision to come forward is not insignificantly hindered by the concern that nothing will be done. Choose a system with a comprehensive case management approach to provide users more assurance. Showcase in training how instances can be followed up on how the whistleblower is kept in the loop. In actuality, situations should always be handled carefully, systematically, and with respect for the whistleblower. Last but not least, it should be communicated in a cohesive manner. As a part of the organization's wider corporate ethics effort, make sure the whistleblowing mechanism is informed and integrated with the principles of code of conduct. Educate workers on the differences between cases that qualify as whistleblowing and those that do not. provide them with alternate avenues of communication for various purposes, consult the whistleblowing systems provider for advice on the supporting communications. Next, I will discuss the drawbacks of whistleblowing and their effects in the workplace. First and foremost is the challenge trust. Whistleblowing has some drawbacks. One of the drawbacks is undermined trust. If employees are dissatisfied with activities taking place in their departments or the companies, businesses often prefer that they use internal communication methods. Before the employees decide to leave, this provides the business a time to evaluate its internal operations. Tension and successful working relationship among employees become difficult if trust between managers and employees is gone. Furthermore is retaliation. According to the National Whistleblower Center, one of the downsides of whistleblowing is that the whistleblower may encounter animosity and anger from colleagues and superiors. Whistleblowers now have more legal protection according to the federal government. However, a whistleblower could experience discrimination. Retaliatory culture makes the workplace unpleasant for whistleblowers and keeps the workers off task. Besides that is the broken chain of command. When an employee feels that his supervisor or other corporate executive are not taking his concern seriously, he may decide to whistleblow because they are afraid of being punished for speaking out against the corporation. Other whistleblowers avoid the chain of command. Employees run the risk of harming this crucial structure of management and authority if they frequently fail to communicate problems or concerns up the chain of command. To prevent a possible loss of respect for management, company leaders must foster a culture that enables employees to voice their concern internally. Lastly, the organizational repercussions. According to Santa Clara University, one argument against whistleblowing is that it may have negative legal or business-related effects on the organization. Of course, if the group and its leaders deliberately engage in or support unethical or unlawful conduct, they will anticipate negative consequences if news gets out. Employees in a firm who do not engage in inappropriate behavior or who are unaware of it generally suffer if the business is the target of legal action or negative publicity. That's all for me. Thank you.
In a nutshell, the act of wrongdoing such as illegal activities, mismanagement, and abuse of power could harm the reputation of an organization. Policies and procedures regarding the internal whistleblowing should be conveyed clearly to the entire organization. The role of internal audit is to encourage best practices of whistleblowing as well as monitor the systems and consult on the change when it is needed. Besides, the organization should make efforts to safeguard the whistleblowers from retaliation by wrongdoers and other stakeholders.